So as we get started today, what I thought might be a great idea is let's talk about the roadmap for developing your leadership philosophy. Obviously, we could talk about hundreds of ideas when it comes to leadership, but in this session, we're going to really talk about 9 concepts. 9 concepts that ultimately sort of become your framework. Again, I'm not going to tell you what your framework should be, but I'm giving you this as a framework that I think can really, really change your career as a leader. The first thing we're going to talk about is you coming up with a leadership statement. Simply put, what's that one statement that summarizes that sort of it just in a succinct way says to the world what you think leadership is. We're going to talk about that. For you, it could be a Bible verse, it could be a famous quote, or it could be something you've come up with yourself. But what we want to do here is enable you to very quickly in a statement help other people lock into what leadership means to you. Second, and this is probably the thing that really makes this program stand out, it's what we call the 4 standards. What we believe is that every leader has his or her own standards for what everybody else ought to be good at, right? Well, let's say that's the case. If you believe that, then what I think you also have to think about is what are you doing to help ensure the people you're leading know those standards, understand those standards, and then third, are living up to those standards? Well, we're going to talk about that. The third topic in the roadmap is what we call historical reference. Similar to what I said at the outset, and that is your ability to help people connect with the reason you believe what you believe is going to be important. So here we're going to get you to kind of pull up a couple of stories that you can quickly share with people so that they can sort of plug into why you think the way you think. Number 4 is what we call visuals. We've learned and we've been fortunate to learn that basically, there are different learning styles, and some people learn best through what they see. As a matter of fact, I have a 12-year-old son who's very much like that. I just need to find a visual on how to clean up your room. That's the next thing. But the key here is that we want to make sure that we have a variety of tools in your toolkit that enable you to express to people what you think leadership is all about. The visuals are key there. Number 5 is what we call situational application. Simply put, when you lead other people, they want to know you've had success leading other people, right? So what we're doing here is you're going to go back in time and identify some situations from your own experience. It doesn't matter where, but from your own experience where you've had success with your philosophy, where you've been able to use your philosophy to have a positive impact on the people around you. So that's 5. Now, number 6 is what we call your advisory board. Here's something we all know. I don't know if I've ever seen a person become successful on their own, right? Oftentimes you hear the term self-made. In my mind, that's impossible. How'd you learn to read? How'd you learn to ride a bike? How'd you learn to deal with other people? You learned it through other people. Well, what we want to do here is we want to talk to you, and I don't care where you are in your leadership. I don't care if you're a shift manager at a Taco Bell. I don't care if you run a division of Siemens. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are in your career, whether it's a technology firm, whether it's a restaurant, I think it's important to surround yourself with sharp people, intelligent people, people who care about your success. Well, we believe that's an important part of your philosophy is surrounding yourself with people who can keep feeding your knowledge and your growth. Number 7. If you've worked in organizations as long as I have, one of the things you see that can happen to leaders is they get so bogged down with responsibilities, deadlines, due dates, that sometimes they can forget, this might sound weird, that they're working with people. Well, we don't want you to do that. So the 7th component of your leadership philosophy is what we call the person behind the employee. We're going to give you a template of the things we think you ought to know about the people who work with you so you can be more effective in connecting with and leading those people. 2 more, and they both relate to development. In my personal point of view, leaders and people who develop others are one and the same. Better said, I don't really think you can call yourself a leader if you don't have the heart, desire, and capacity to develop other people. So the last 2 components of developing your leadership philosophy are first, a development framework. One of the things I've seen with young leaders in particular, people who are new to the leadership world, is they have, again, great talent, great skill, but no one's ever taken the time to give them a framework for how and when you develop people. And more often than not, the first time they have to do a performance review for somebody, that's sort of the first time they've ever really been challenged to think in that way. Well, what we want to do is we want to give you that framework now so that as you progress through your career, it's already in place. And then last but not least is what we call development tools. Development tools. In essence, we want to give you a few concepts around what are the things I use, the methods I use, the processes I use to actually help people grow in their career. So once again, that's our 9-step roadmap. We're excited you're going to be on it, and we think you're going to get a lot from it.